Like you want to sweat.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I like that.
All right, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Cinebums podcast. I'm Luke Mueller, and as always, I'm here with John Nurin, the
Hello.
two half German uh, guys.
It's how we're
Um,
known. Yeah.
yeah. How are you, John? It's been a minute.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Yeah, it has been a while since our last episode, so it's good to get back to it. A lot of our recent episodes, I feel like, have been catch-up
Yeah,
episodes, but
I think the world is in a far better state since our last episode, so we can feel good about that.
yeah. Yeah, there's always something that comes up, but I think w- we're back, and I think that's what the world really needed right now was the
Yeah, hopefully
Cinebums.
now that we're posting this episode, people can chill and all the other things that are going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's get serious. So
Yeah.
today we're gonna be starting off. We've got some TV follow up, little TV follow up from the last episode. I think last episode we talked a lot of TV, and so we're gonna be kicking off today. I think by talk. We're late to this, of course, but we're probably late to almost everything that we're talking about today, especially some of the things later. So, like, as we go, we're going to be more late to everything. I
Yeah.
think that you'll notice that trajectory, and you're just going to get more and more frustrated as you listen. But we don't care because John and I are doing us, and we have things to do in our lives.
Yeah, we don't have time to just sit around and listen to podcasts all day, like whoever's listening to this, you know?
Yeah, even though I do try to listen to as many,
Yeah.
I do try to always listen to the Bill Simmons podcast and the WTF podcast. Um, but we're gonna be starting off today with the rehearsal finale because I think when we talked about it before, it had just started and now it's over, and it's kind of has probably one of the best reputations of any television show today. In ways, I don't think anybody who's seen it doesn't talk about it and use the word genius, um, which is we're gonna do the same. Yeah, but. Yeah, John, I know you're a
Yeah.
big Nathan Fielder guy, and we're watching it week to week. Um, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like, yeah, your thoughts on the finale specifically.
I think this season there were just some loose ends I would have liked to see tied back together. I felt like there were a lot more, I guess each episode was more like segmented than I thought it would be. There wasn't more of like a through line like in the first season. Which that was kind of the only disappointing thing. I still didn't know if with the finale, if are we gonna revisit some of these people that we've seen earlier? But I think what it turned out to be, what all of these Nathan Fielder shows turned out to be, is more like self-indulgent and self-reflective for him. And I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just part of it. Um, you know, Part of the show always comes back to him because does just seem like and obviously he's much more in character. I think he's like amplifying a
It's a
version of
big word,
himself.
John. You
That's
should try a
so,
try a different word next
I
time.
was trying to sound too smart, I think. Yeah.
I just went for it
You know what?
there.
I'm gonna go all out on amplify. I'm gonna amplify myself and my personal brand.
This is it. This is the moment.
Someone's
Fell
gonna listen to
flat.
this and hear that I used amplify, and then yeah, who knows where it'll take me. But yeah, I think yeah, it's like a version of himself, and there's been interviews
Mm,
where he has been like somewhat genuine, where he's talking about that,
right. He
about
was on like CNN, and I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
it's crazy, dude. Yeah.
I love how he went on CNN and was very like stern about being a pilot. He wouldn't let
Right.
them
Oh
just call
yeah,
him a
yeah,
comedian
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
I
he had
am
his
a.
I think he
He's
had
like,
a
I
hat
am a
on.
pilot.
Yeah. I'm not. It wasn't just on the show. Like I am an actual pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like
Um,
he owns being a pilot so much. Yeah.
and then he was seen at a baseball game, like a Padres game or something, and they put him on the screen, and below it's a like Nathan Fielder, comedian and 737 pilot or something like that below
Nice,
it.
nice.
So yeah, they were in on the bit. But yeah, overall, I was still amazed by the season and what lengths he went to. But yeah, I think the first season really hard to beat for me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I was kind of watching the whole season on the edge of my seat. I was not. In fact, I went into it with a bit of a cynical attitude because I know how weird the rehearsal is always and how like he does seem very self-motivated through it. And I just didn't know where he was going with it a lot of the time. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
bet, yeah, and it seemed all over the place. And like for instance, like the American Idol thing he does is maybe that's kind of goes with your loose ends thing. Uh, even though I enjoy that, but it just felt like they kept showing that, and it just felt like it was a kind of like a fun thing. It didn't feel like it had much to do, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of budget for
yeah.
that. Um, but it was just something about that final episode for me. And the last few, I think, like it really hooked me. And I was like, and mainly just because I was like, wow, I can't believe what this guy is doing. This guy's out of his mind. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And just some of the conversations he was having, specifically when he was like scouting for the 737. It was just like so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like when he's
Yeah, that
like,
guy was great who he was buying from or
where when
uh
he's like, so that's okay that this isn't working, like that stuff. Like I was just like,
yeah.
I can't believe this shit right now. Um, and also how it shows um, his whole process of like learning to fly the plane and how he's not afraid always to show how just he's not afraid to show himself fail.
Yeah.
He's really like that's like one of his biggest qualities is I think how vulnerable Nathan Fielder is. Be like he's really just, and that's the great best thing for any person who's in the comedy lane is just to not be afraid of embarrassment because he's really he's not, and he's like testing himself psychologically to see if it's okay that he flies this plane. And what's funny is like I was talking to my therapist about the rehearsal. Um, so my therapist also is a pilot,
Oh,
weirdly. And so my therapist was just like very randomly like this kind of gravitated towards him because it's like I think the second season is a psychological exploration and also also very much to do with air travel, and so like it was really up his alley. But he also like he was dying like he when we were talking during this session about the rehearsal, he was talking about how Nathan Fielder, he diagnosed Nathan Fielder as definitely like having autism, and then the next episode, Nathan Fielder gets tested, and it kind of just shows that he has autism, and he's like, well, I'm flying a 737 in this many days filled with multiple people, and they're like, yeah, well, we're not going to get you. You're not going to be able to see the doctor in this many weeks, and he's even like willing to show his own like mental illness or mental disorder
yeah.
like on TV for his own test. Um,
In a way, he
yeah,
is really like an enigma. You
yeah,
don't feel like you know much about him truly, but then he
right.
does in his show, yeah, you will find out like really intimate things about him
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
too. It's weird how
yeah,
he can be that like have that like mystique about him, but also
yeah,
show really personal things about himself.
yeah. Well, and I
He
think
toes that
also
line really well.
he's aware that he is kind of just dull and boring too. I think throughout his work, he's not been afraid to just be that he's an awkward, dull, skinny white guy that is uninteresting, and he leans into that so hard that he becomes interesting. Um, and in like the Safdie series, what is it again?
The Curse.
Yeah, the curse. Like he leans into the fact there that he's just. I feel like he just leans into the fact that he's not a great actor a lot of the times, and how that just aligns with the dynamic with Emma Stone, who's a great actor throughout. But the finale of the rehearsal season two, I was on the edge of my seat, and I just couldn't believe uh, the dynamic between him and the co-pilot in the cockpit is just too real, and
Yeah.
I think it's just handled masterfully, like by him as just how he's just creating this situation. How he like he's willing to go as far as like fill it with real people and create stakes, and he knows he's creating anxiety for this co-pilot, and is not only flying the plane but also just I don't know, kind of doing like therapy with the co-pilot in up front. It's just why it was just so wild, and of course very very funny too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like groundbreaking funny, and also like yeah, I don't know, just like a lot of times what great reality TV does, which is just kind of like I think it reveals like things about people that are just very inherent in everyone, like being too prideful to communicate
Yeah.
about things like that,
That these pilots do just usually meet for the first time right before they fly too,
Right,
which
right. And they're like just getting and they're trying to like please each other and get
because
to know each other. Yeah.
that's something we can all relate to is just meeting
Yeah.
someone for the first time, obviously, but then
Hmm.
yeah, putting that in the context of flying a plane
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I always thought that the pilot and the co-pilot probably like knew each other and they always worked together, I think.
I thought
Like
they were
kind
like
of
a
like
team. Yeah,
yeah,
like
that's what I always thought too.
cops.
But like,
Like
it
they're
shows we can just assume, because you're like you're just back there. You don't know what's going on and you're just like,
you just hear them
yeah.
talk, yeah,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. Yeah, I always thought that they were like buddies. They um yeah, they fly together every
They must fly
day and
together all
then
the time. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and that's just so wow, I'm curious as to how that got started because that seems crazy to me, but somehow they make it work.
It should be like, the way the film industry, like cinematographers probably always have their first AC and their, second AC and their gaffer that they like. It should be kind
Yeah.
of like that. Or like, Paul Thomas Anderson likes working with a specific gaffing team, I know, like it should be like that. You
Yeah, you
know.
want to have your squad. But yeah,
Yeah,
I've,
we care about this issue a lot, clearly.
yeah, we're gonna go to Congress now, and at the end of the day, air travel is still safe, like the safest form
Form of
of like,
travel.
yeah, like getting in your car and driving to work every day is, more unsafe than flying.
Yeah.
Apparent,
The fact that we risk that every day is just insane.
yeah, truly, without even thinking about it. But now, if you're driving in your car and listening to this right now, it's okay. Don't think about it. You're all
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I commute to work in the LA area, and I can say from experience that I will drive around and I'll be like, I could have, man, if I wasn't so focused right now, like if I didn't have a nice iced coffee with me, I probably could die because the way some of these people are driving.
Yeah, it's it's brutal out there.
Not that the second season of the rehearsal wasn't interesting, but I think I'm a little more personally interested in the car stuff.
The car
The car
stuff.
travel. Car
Oh
travel.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked the very first episode of season one, where it's all focused on that one guy and
Yeah,
his
dude.
rehearsal.
Yeah.
If each episode was just a individual
See,
person like helping that out, I think I would be more game for that than where they're going with it now, which I understand
yeah,
is like they're taking it to these big lengths, which is
right.
yeah.
I don't know how ends up structuring the season. I really don't know how they go about it, but I liked the confined, just the bar setting
Yeah.
of that. Yeah, and I remember watching that and thinking,
That's like
"Oh, this show."
perfect.
I thought, yeah, me too. And I thought the show was going to be like, just like that. And I'm like, I can't wait for comes. But then it just it took off, and I think it caught me off guard in a way that I just was like, okay, all right, the first episode is great. The rest of this is too much. Um, yeah, I don't know. Should we transition because we're on the weird comedy? Should we move to more weird comedy and talk about friendship?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, friendship. So I ended up seeing this like that Thursday night that it came out. Mostly because I think I had some plans like later that weekend or the next week, but I still wanted to see it right away. And yeah, I'll say this being like one just big, I think you should leave episode, means that I definitely enjoyed it quite a bit. And I think, like you said, also very strange and weird and cringe, and
Yeah.
exactly it's so Tim Robinson, and so I think you should leave
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but I really loved it. I think it was exactly what I was looking for, and I think the trailer really set up what the movie appeared to be, and then I think what it turned out to be was slightly different. I think they pulled off sort of like a mysterious tone with the trailer, but making it more so. This is maybe a small spoiler, but making it
Hmm.
seem more so like Paul Rudd was going to be like some evil guy, and then it turns out that Tim Robinson is kind of the like Paul
Yeah.
Rudd's just
Yeah.
like a normal guy for the most part, and Tim Robinson is just really an insane guy who's so desperate to make human connection
Right.
and
Yeah.
but really maybe shouldn't. Yeah. Um and I think that's what all the characters that Tim Robinson plays and I think you should leave are all these guys that seem so desperate to like connect or fit in with the world around them and their brains are just a little bit different than everyone else's. So
Yeah.
um but yeah, what did you think of Friendship?
I liked it a lot. I of course, yeah, I laughed a lot. I like that it's a kind of weird vibe, artistic comedy that we don't get, and it's of quality that we never will get otherwise um, nowadays. Um, I think like I thought it was really funny, but I thought the audience in my theater, and this is personal preference. I get very annoyed. We may have talked about this another time, but like
A
I
little
get very
bit, yeah.
annoyed by audiences in almost every form other than music. Randomly, I don't like sports audiences. I don't like
Uh,
movie theater audiences annoy me, and even comedy audiences sometimes I'm
oh,
like are they bother me.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the only like even ground is music audiences for some reason because music audiences are all just vibing and you're like yeah they should be vibing that way, good for them, blah blah blah. But I just felt like because Tim Robinson is so big and because everyone's watching the show that like there were moments where I'm just in the theater. I'm like, dude, nothing's funny happening as yet. They're just waiting for it. They're all just waiting for it. And I'm like, and it's those moments where, they just will say something normal and then people are like dying, like these like stupid guys in the theater that are doing
Yeah.
that and like with their like girlfriends or wives and like laughing too hard. And I'm just like, guys, it's not even, the joke hasn't happened yet. And to be fair, what the payoff is always great. It's a 10 out of 10. It's hilarious. but there's a lot of moments in it where I think the film like takes its time to like build the story and build up to the crazy absurd moment. And I felt like just the audience was like just I've had way worse movie experiences. This is me being a little nitpicky with the audience, I guess, but and also taken away from the fact that I just really had no quarrels with the film itself at all. Like I really liked the film and I would watch it again for sure. Um, yeah, just overall vibe of a modern new type of comedy that was invented by this guy. Like it's that could only exist today. It's like I don't even know how to like describe what Tim Robinson is doing. It's just like just something else. Like when he's just going off when he gets in his bag and he's going off the way he does. And yeah, I enjoy it quite a bit, and so does everyone else. Um, and yeah, I wish I had. I don't know if it's a comedy movie. I wish I just had more like. I don't remember it super well, so I just wish I had bits that I could list out of like the moments that I like enjoyed the most. I mean, I really like I really like the when he's talking to that teenage guy at the electronics store, the phone store,
Yeah.
and like let me know if you want any harder stuff. And then he wants to do I think ayahuasca or whatever it is, and then he goes back and he's licking the frog, and then it ends up being that he's at Subway ordering from
Yeah.
Paul Rudd, and then the trip ends and he's like, what happened, man? And he's like, could you stay with me? And he's like, I can't, man, I gotta go like do this on my lunch break. And it's just something stupid like pounding a Red Bull and going to get lunch or something. He just leaves him there
Yeah.
lying on the ground. And oh my God.
And
Yeah.
then when he walks over to like wake him up, or not wake him up, but like check on him, and it's been like
Yeah.
a few minutes.
It's just wild, man. Yeah. It's
Something I
just,
something I have been quoting to Carly is
yeah.
when he's like, "Oh, do you play drums?" And then he's like, "No, I always wanted to, but didn't." It's something like that. Or he's like,
Right, right,
"But I
right.
just didn't." It's just such like a stupid way to say it, and so I'll say I've started saying that now, like every guy does when they see I
That
think you should leave is quote it.
I just
It
didn't.
was like it was like, "Oh, did you do this or that? Did you mow the lawn?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I thought about doing it, and then I just didn't." That's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
gotten to my repertoire now. But so
Yeah,
I'm a real
yeah.
fun guy to be around. Um,
Yeah, I wish I could just rewatch it so I could remember more of the moments, the funny moments. I don't think I've ever talked to you about this, but there's this a thing too where it's not just this movie, it's especially if you go to the you see how so if you go to the music boxes of the world or the New Beverly's or Vista Theaters, American Cinema, just one of those types of theaters. I don't know if you met what do you have one of those in Minnesota?
we
Not like you
have
have a not like oh, do you have the new did the New Beverly make it
oh
to
yeah yeah
Minnesota?
we have
You probably have something like that, right?
we actually have a ton. There's a lot of like old theaters like that in
Yeah,
Minnesota. It's a
yeah.
very
Where they're just
artsy
replaying the
place.
old stuff and the art. Yeah, it's like the artsy
Yeah.
and it draws all the
There's
film people. Like,
there's
yeah,
one down the road that yeah, they always do like 70 millimeter screenings of
right.
older
Yeah, yeah.
things, and they have the organist and everything that
Oh,
plays
nice.
when
So
people are
it's a
walking
music
in.
box. It's a music box of Minnesota. Yeah.
I'm guessing, yeah, yeah.
So if you go to those, no, a lot of the times, no matter what you're watching, like people are laughing like Richard Pryor came back from the dead or something like that. It's ridiculous. Like you go to the New Beverly and um you just watch the trailers there. People are just laughing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, and that shit like bothers me a little bit too. I would
Yeah.
seem like such a cynical, like s grumpy snob guy
I
right
hate when
now,
people
but
are laughing, having a
yeah,
good
yeah,
time. Yeah. No, I do. I mean, I see what you're saying though. And I think a lot of people would agree too that sometimes I feel like I've said this on the podcast too, but in high school sometime I remember this. We were seeing some movie with friends. I don't know if you were there or not. Maybe you were even there. And
Right.
there was a group of guys in front of us, and there's like something in the trailer. There's like Jeff Goldblum said something, and it wasn't even like meant to be a joke, but this guy in front of us laughed so hard at what he said. And then I remember his friend turned to him and said, "Dude, it wasn't even that funny." And I and I just remember him like calling him out for that. And then I was like, "Wait a second, yeah, that wasn't funny. He just it was just Jeff Goldblum speaking, saying a line, and then this guy."
Yeah, yeah.
And that's always stuck with me as like, yeah, sometimes there are like these moments where people will like laugh, and then sometimes I get confused. I'm like, did I miss some part of this joke? Um, and yeah, it's just sometimes people are just a little too eager to laugh instead of, just letting it happen, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. For all those who do this, hold it in
Yeah.
for our sake. I guess I could touch on real quick the studio finale, which you haven't, John hasn't gotten to it. I have. Um, where are you at in the studio? If
I I think I'm on like episode 9. I thought I had like 2 episodes left, but then I think there's 11 episodes.
oh,
So
okay, so you're pretty. So did you make it to the Vegas stuff then?
no, okay, I haven't.
No. Okay.
I might
All
be
right.
maybe I'm like 7 or 8. I
All
thought I
right.
had
So
like two or
yeah.
three left, but yeah. It's been a while since I've
Did you see
since
the
I've
Golden
watched.
Globes episode?
Yes, that might have been
Your
the
last
last
episode?
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess just to like the last time we talked about the studio, I think I maybe now like it more than when we talked about it last time because I felt like it ended on such a good note for me. I think the finale is so great. I think the last 3 to 4 episodes are really great. Um, and I can't wait for the next season now since it's been renewed. Uh, but everything like once, especially Zoe Kravitz comes into the show, and there's this whole situation they create in Vegas, which is so funny, but also like it also feels just chaotic and ends on this note where it just caps off the first season in a great way. Um, yeah, I loved the ending of the studio. And I thought that the studio might just end up being a thing that I enjoyed here and there and that I was just happy got made. But really, overall, I love the studio as a show.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's like one of the best things on TV right now, for sure. And I can't wait for to see what they do with it next. Yeah.
Cool, yeah. I mean, I just looked and I am on episode 9 with just 2 episodes left. So,
All right.
because the last one I saw was the Golden Globes one. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely been liking it a lot, and I think this is something that we've talked about before. Something like this is right up our alley of just this sort of behind the scenes Hollywood. Definitely like a I don't know, it seems like it's an LA guy type of
Yeah.
movie. Um,
Yeah. It's an industry nerd type of movie,
yes.
type of show.
Yeah, and yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot. I think I've maybe not followed along with the story as well. Um, and maybe it's also just because of like life stuff that I have forgotten now because I haven't seen it in a while. Um, but yeah, I'm also glad that it's just out there and yeah, I feel like TV's been really good to start the year, this first half of the year. I feel like
Yeah.
once one show's done, like there's something else um to like fill that void. So yeah, I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah, I think you should, and also I don't think it's a problem if you don't remember the story overall, because I feel like it all is its own. Every episode is its own
That's
thing.
true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like hard. What's great about that too is like I never felt like I knew what it was going to be building towards in the finale, and then the finale really feels like it's building towards a lot for the studio in the studio in the show, and Seth Rogen's character, and like some of the supporting characters. So it kind of builds to this wild Vegas thing that goes on for two straight
Cool.
episodes. Yeah. The Golden Globes episode, the running gag of like how hard it is for him to just get his name to be said.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's Ike Barinholtz just getting thanked over and over again.
Uh-huh.
Um, I also like the episode where they're like trying to figure out how to cast the Kool-Aid family or whatever, and they're like, we can't do. They're like just trying to like pick around like what
It's
they're.
always like offensive, whatever
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Whatever they pick is offensive. They're like, we can't do all black.
Yeah.
Like I, yeah.
And then at the end, then don't they like they still end up pissing someone off?
I don't remember what happens at the end. I just remember he goes to
Can't
Ice
remember.
Cube, and he goes to Ice Cube and has a funny conversation with Ice Cube or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really remember what happens in the
I don't
studio.
know. Yeah, I don't even actually think I watched it now that I think about
Yeah.
it.
Actually, I'm on episode. I haven't even started
Oh,
it.
I was thinking of something else. Yeah.
I mean, it's a half hour.
I can't watch a half hour. Yeah.
I have time. All I have time now is for reels.
Yeah. Should I talk about the Phoenician scheme quick?
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
It'll be quick.
I think
And
it's the perfect. I think it's the perfect time
all
in the
right.
episode.
There's no
It
better
needs
time
it.
than now. Yeah.
No time like the present. Rolling.
Well, the Phoenician scheme. Yeah, it's Wes Anderson is just prolific. I feel like you can
Yeah.
always count on a Wes Anderson movie coming out every couple of years. Um, and what is PTA putting something out like every 5 years or something now?
Yeah, what a bum.
What does this guy even
Lazy.
do? Yeah.
Lazy.
Um, just wasting
That's
all
just
that talent.
that's laziness.
Yeah, we are not lazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was him, I'd be making a movie a day. Yeah.
A movie a day.
But I'm not, so I'll just yeah,
But
I'll
I'm
just
not,
stay
so
here.
I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
Also, I'll just keep talking about the Phoenician scheme then. Um so yeah, I guess that's something I like about Wes Anderson is he is prolific and just makes these original films so frequently. He's got a style. They're very graphic design heavy so that they're, you know,
Hmm.
even if I could sometimes forgive parts where maybe the story might be lacking, if
Right.
it's very visually appealing and
Yeah.
interesting and eccentric.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like it's been a little more style over substance, definitely over the past few films. You just feel like
yeah,
this all just kind of like looks and feels cool, but I don't know what is happening.
that's why I really think the Grand Budapest Hotel was like where he met like his style and substance like perfectly
Mm,
meshed.
yeah.
And then I think before then the stories were maybe stronger, but after then the just the visuals and
Yeah.
design of everything was stronger. So yeah, that's how I view like the timeline is like Grand Budapest Hotel was like the peak of Wes Anderson's story and style. But Phoenician Scheme, I will say there are some very Wes Anderson, very slapsticky styled gags that I really like in this. But I would say out of his recent work, I would say this is the least Wes Anderson looking style
Hmm.
wise. I think the style's a little. It still has a lot of his same quirks, but I feel like the style has was scaled back ever so slightly compared to like the French Dispatch
Hmm.
and
It's more
especially
conservative
Asteroid City.
style-wise, huh?
Yeah. And then I feel like it leans more on the story, and I could not get it myself into the story of this one. And
I can see that that's
I'm
what's gonna happen to me too. I know that's what's gonna happen when I get to it.
it was honestly, in all Wes Anderson movies, there's a lot of fast dialogue, quick talking, and
Right, right.
sometimes
That's
can be
the
hard to
pace.
follow.
The
Yeah.
pace is weird. It like he'll take forever to show the guy pour the coffee, and then the dialogue is just like da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Well,
Back and
what's
forth.
it? Oh, plot. All right, then now back to like whatever, Yeah, it's wild. It's weird.
Yeah. Everything that's going on throughout the film was so difficult for me to kind of keep up with.
Mm.
And in a way that I kind of just had to give up at a certain point and just accept what was happening, and I wasn't really sure what to make of it. And maybe I was a little tired. Uh, that's the thing. It's like it depends on what setting you're into. But I felt,
Right.
or what your mindset is going into it, maybe you would have a different
Was
experience.
it at
But
night?
no, it was actually like, well, it was like 5 o'clock. It was like an early evening. Um, but on like a hot summer day. Um,
It was a hot summer day.
hot
I went
summer
to go see the
day.
Phoenician Scheme.
Was outside during the day. Maybe being out in the sun made me tired when I went into the movie. Who knows? But
I think that sun I got earlier around 3 p.m. really affected me.
I think, yeah, I got to come
And now
back when
I
I don't
and
have
now I
that
don't understand
3
the
p.m.
Phoenician
sun.
scheme.
It just broke my brain.
You're
Um,
like telling you're telling Carly, how was your day? You know?
I think that the sun at 3 p.m. just really messed with me.
Really, really ruined the Phoenician scheme for me.
Yeah.
How was your day?
But yeah, I just wasn't I just couldn't find myself to really get into it. I think Michael Cera was really funny and great, and
Hmm.
there was a couple scenes that I really enjoyed, and of course there are just set pieces that uh are still really fun, that fun classic Wes Anderson vibe. But yeah, it just got to a point where I was just ready for it to be done because I knew I wasn't gonna be getting into it. So it was
I'm
disappointing.
never gonna understand this thing.
Yeah.
Just wrap it up.
This is too complex for my brain. Yeah. Um,
I should have stayed home and just watched reels on the couch.
yeah. I could have
Yeah.
just watched The Office reruns and yeah.
Yeah.
But I challenged myself with a Wes
You
Anderson
know
film.
what office clip popped in on my reels the other day was he's like he's like how could I how could it be so crazy that I could achieve happiness? I'm nice. I'm sensual. He says I'm sensual. That's the
Sensual.
line. That's the line that really like sticks with me. Like I'm sensual, and like I think it's like Oscar goes like, or
Ugh.
someone goes like someone makes like a face when he says that.
Yeah.
Um, when he asked the question first, he's like, why would it be wrong for me to find someone? And Oscar kind of like has like things ready that he's gonna
Oh
say,
yeah.
like, yeah, I forgot about that scene. He like just like in front of the whole office is like,
I'm
I'm
sensual. Yeah.
sensual. Would it be so crazy that I could find happiness?
So I do. Tim Robinson is his characters are somewhat Michael Scott-esque, but even more deranged.
Sure,
Uh,
yeah.
kind of
Like
missing the
in a
point.
different reality.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, and so the Phoenician scheme.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah. I don't. Yeah,
yeah. What else are you
I
gonna say even after being like, I didn't understand it, and
I didn't
then
understand it. So I won't be too. I guess it wasn't like it was like
let's,
so.
let's keep going on the Phoenicia ski for another like hour.
Yeah, I gotta keep going. I gotta figure it out right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I
And
just
then
couldn't
that led to
follow.
this scene that I also didn't understand.
Yeah. So you tell me this. What happens here? Uh, I'll have
Yeah.
you try and tell me what you think I'm describing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too fast. They're talking too fast.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of businessy stuff too, and dealing with
Oh man,
wills and
business. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I'm just not business savvy enough
I'm
to
not I'm not
get
business staff.
it. I
Not
gotta
cut
do some
out for it.
self-reflection on that and,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, savvy myself up. But so yeah, that's my recommendation is wait till it'll be on Peacock or something in
Hmm.
4 months. If you can wait, then I would wait.
All
That's my
right.
recommendation.
I'm probably still gonna try to see it in the theaters
Yeah, go for it.
because I just have the time, but I'm probably gonna go into it with like the most medium expectations now.
Yeah, oh, I feel like I've been a downer. I don't know, I really like Friendship and The Rehearsal. That's true. Okay. I was trying to think back on to yeah, I've liked everything we've talked about so far. Yeah.
All
Um,
right. Well, I'm gonna talk now about Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, which I saw
all right.
and you didn't see. Um, I am a huge Mission Impossible fan, uh, especially the last 3 to 4. I love, and so I was very much looking forward to this. Had to see it in theaters, of course. Saw it in IMAX.
Nice.
Everyone knows about that Tom Cruise hangs off a plane, and you see all that press of Tom Cruise. Like, do you see that press of Tom Cruise? He's like talking to the AMC employees and he's eating the popcorn. And
No.
he's like, you haven't seen that clip? I've seen that clip
No.
a ton where he's like, thank you guys so much for doing this. And then he's like, do you see that? And it's like the poster of him on the plane. He's like, that's real. And they're like, "Oh my God." And it's just such a crazy clip. The guy apparently just lives to be on sets. Like apparently one of the reasons why Rebecca Ferguson dropped out is because like the set life was just so demanding for the franchise and that like even on days off, Tom Cruise goes to set, all that stuff. I also saw another funny clip, which you could probably look up too. Um, it's like some guys who are like I don't know, they're like snack content creators or snack influencers or whatever you want to call them, but they're asking Tom Cruise like what his favorite snacks are, and he's on the set of Mission Impossible, and he's like in front of like he's in front of the area where they're doing the submarine sequence, and they're like, what are your favorite snacks, Tom? And he's like, I mean, I'm such a popcorn guy for the movies. Oh man. And he's like,
That's so
and
funny.
he's
Of course, that's his like first thing is
right.
popcorn.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, do you like what about chips? He's like, the one guy goes like, oh, I love like Doritos. And Tom goes like, oh, chips. Love chips.
What is your favorite snack to have on set?
Oh man, snack to have on set. Well, what my favorite things are and what I'm allowed to have.
Okay,
Those
I
are
know.
two different things.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to eat popcorn because I'm in the movie, so I
It's
give
high
myself
fiber,
like
right?
that's
Fi-
it. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So when I go, I always have a massive. I will go opening night to movies. Like I will sneak in the back. I'll get the whole thing. Go with my friends at the theaters. Get a big thing of popcorn. I love it.
You can never go wrong with popcorn.
No. No.
Never.
You can mix it up with like different kinds of licorice or throw
Yeah.
some chocolate in it if you want.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's a good run. So what do you guys like?
I would go Doritos, like chips.
Ooh, chips, man. That's
I know
good
it's
too. I
dangerous.
like chips too.
And like but he keeps his body in like rigorous condition because he works out heavily and so he's very strict with himself, but he's one of those actor types that they act like they try to act so normal and human when they're like, oh yeah, love chips and candies and
Yeah.
oh man, but probably he has them so like once in a blue moon, not like, you know, every night like some of us, they're like just eating the chip bag because that's all. Like most of us eat chips out of necessity, it's not even because like they're breaking their keto, whatever crazy diet they're doing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I eat chips because I have no energy
I
to
need
cook for
sustenance.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I have nothing left in me. I can't cook tonight. I must just eat these very processed foods that are just easy to put in my body right now. Um,
Yeah, he seems
yeah.
like someone who just like injects himself with food, like nutrients and stuff to
Yeah.
keep him like
Yeah. Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a
Yeah.
guy that would just be, ripping open a Doritos bag.
No, probably takes like there's
Chips.
a shake he does. Yeah, the
Yeah.
clip is so funny. He's like, "Oh man,
Chips.
when I let go and I indulge in life's normal pleasures like other human beings,
Yeah.
Um
I love a chip. Oh, yes. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So anyways, uh Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I went and saw in IMAX in the morning. Um, and I was a little let down by it. Which is the consensus I think for a lot of people, is that it's a bit of a letdown compared to what a hot streak the franchise has been on lately. Um, I don't know if I know John, Fallout kind of well, and that how Fallout, but I don't know if you remember the previous movie that well, Dead Reckoning. But I know you at least saw that one.
I
But I don't
don't
know if
remember that one super well, but is like the final scene on a train?
it's like the train sequence. He like
Okay.
jump.
So
He
it's
does
that one.
the
Okay.
motorcycle jump to it. So
Yes.
I rewatched that before this, and I will say that is still a fantastic movie, and I maybe even underrated it when I saw it because I was just like comparing it to Fallout, which is so good, and I was like, I'm like, oh, it just doesn't live up to Fallout, but it still is on like the same level of quality. It's just like it doesn't have the constant exceptional set pieces and the vibe, and like I don't know, Fallout's like, to me on like, you're comparing that to like Mad Max Fury Road or something like that. It's like, it's really hard to compete with that.
Yeah.
Um, but the Final Reckoning takes a huge dip, like immediately. Like it's
Really?
it coasts way too much off nostalgia. It's doing a lot of like callbacks to the previous movies because it's trying to like end the movie. It's has a lot of exposition scenes which are really annoying and tiresome. Like the first hour and a half is exposition scenes. But things like these exposition scenes that are long and annoying and tiresome, it made it feel like a franchise movie, the type of franchise movies that you don't like. And they just weren't well done. They weren't well
Mhm.
written. They weren't well executed. I feel like there's other exposition scenes in Mission Impossible that don't bother me this way, like where because there's a lot because Mission Impossible has a lot of like big world conflict usually going on that they have to explain where they're like, oh, there is what is the syndicate? They're always asking things like that. It's like random things
Yeah.
like what is the syndicate? And this one they go to bat so hard explaining this AI villain and about the guy that wants to take control over it. And it's so much, and it was brutal to get through. Um, Having said that, if you can see it, which I still think you should see it, but and then make it to the submarine sequence, and then the finale. Uh, those make it worth it at the end of the
Okay,
day.
cool.
They save the movie. They You could argue that that's all you need to go see. That's all they really needed to show anybody because the submarine sequence is incredibly impressive. And then the plane sequence, of course, is just insane. Just because everyone knows that he actually is hanging off the plane throughout it.
Yeah.
And then the movie actually kind of weirdly, the movie sort of lands in a way where it kind of ends in a way where you're like, oh, wow, what I just watched was a good movie. And you're like, and again, you're like, I don't know. It weirdly, the road to get there is hard, but it kind of ends, the ending is actually good. So, yeah. Overall, mixed bag, but, probably one of the worst ones in the series, in the franchise. I would say, like, my Mission Impossible, like, ranking, it's like, uh, I don't even have the notes in front of me, John. This is off the top of my head. This is how good I am.
Wow.
This is why I host a movie podcast right here. Mission Fallout, and then Rogue Nation, then probably Ghost Protocol, then Dead Reckoning, then the first one, then then probably the Final Reckoning. I'm getting confused. And then and then probably MI2, then MI3. That's probably my ranking. So it's like it's in the bottom 3 of
Wow.
the missions. Yeah.
So it really like I feel like that like Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout era was like the peak. And then
Yeah.
both like the beginning and ends of that were kind of
It ended on a bad note, yeah. And I mean, for a lot of people, and including for me, it's hard for me to do this, but I rank the De Palma one. Like, I love the De Palma one, but it's hard for me to rank it ahead of like any of the Christopher McQuarrie
the more
ones
modern ones, yeah.
yeah, the more modern one, because it's kind of not even the same. It's like a
Yeah.
weird De Palma spy thriller, and it's cool. It's very cool, but what the franchise ended up becoming is like very different than that movie to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some people like the J.J. Abrams one a lot. I personally find it boring, like a snooze fest.
Was that the third one?
That's MI3, yeah, with
Yeah.
Philip Hoffman, and people like it a lot because Philip Hoffman's like great in it, of course, but I find it just boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I have only really watched 2 and 3 maybe a couple of times. Um, but I can't even picture them in the same world as everything that came after that because it
Yeah,
does seem like two separate franchises in a way.
yeah,
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 I'll definitely see this at some point. I think this kind of just like slipped by me. Um,
yeah. If you
I
can
missed
in
a
a
lot of the
theater, just
promotion
because
for it.
those sequences, like, they're not gonna even feel the same if you just sit at home, and then when you
Yeah,
sit at home, you'll be like, well, why did I like? I don't know. You'll
what's so
even
cool
maybe
about that?
you may be underwhelmed, like, yeah, and then you'll have to sit through a lot of the boring shit. Um,
Yeah, I think I was on a long flight and I watched Fallout. Not for the first I saw it for the first time in a theater, but
yeah,
just popped it on for the long flight. And
same. I did that too.
I still think that I was like amazed by what I was seeing. And
Right
maybe it's
on,
because I
like
was a little tense because
on the
I'm
small
yeah,
screen.
the screen's right in your
Yeah,
face and you're also up in the air
yeah,
on a plane, which we are know is so dangerous. And yeah, it's but of course that's not the best way to see it the first time. Um,
yeah.
but yeah.
I did the same thing when I came back. Flew back for Christmas because I just wanted to get through the
Oh
flight, and
yeah.
I watched Fallout, and um, it was actually kind of wild because like if you feel like Tom Cruise jumps out of a plane, and then if the plane you're in like feels like turbulence, you're like, oh wow, this is kind of like 4D
Yeah.
D-ish or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it just makes it more intense.
makes me feel something.
For
Anything.
once. Yeah. I need. All right, well, we can move on.
So that's Mission Impossible. I think this is a great segue because we're talking about Tom Cruise. I don't know about a great segue, maybe an okay segue, a segue. But we were talking about Tom Cruise and like interview content. And that one movie, which I'm definitely gonna see in a theater. The Materialists is out with Dakota
Yes.
Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw that trailer, John, I was like, oh boy.
I'm gonna be there
uh,
day one.
yeah, and I haven't been. I mean, I think it's been out like a
Ah,
week already, but
yeah.
uh, I mean, I think it's got to be a good, decent movie. It's A24, and it's a
Celine
rom-com made
song.
made by a woman. Yeah, there's got to be a reason why all of these stars are in it. Um, I don't really get like what's funny is like I don't get what's gonna be unique about it really overall. And like
I it seems like kind of a typical rom-com, but it's being
yeah,
promoted.
that's to me too. But
It's
one with
being
maybe a
promoted in
unique
kind of an interesting
voice.
way. Yeah.
Right. Like it has a unique voice, like it's written by an original writer. I don't know.
So maybe
Like,
it just seems like it's gonna be something familiar but new at the same time. Something familiar but also have its own unique voice.
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's
I
what
mean,
because it does I do like why am I like really interested in this? Like it seems like this is gonna be
it's
like the next
yeah.
When Harry Met Sally or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be just sex appeal, or maybe it is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
But like, yeah, I love rom-coms, John, as you know. I like
Yeah.
of all shapes and kinds. Um, and so this one recently, of course, has had a giant press tour. So speaking of Tom Cruise on his press tour, and so mainly I see videos with Dakota Johnson, and then some where it's like her and Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans. Um, and then the biggest one I want to bring up is how often do you watch the Tonight Show, John? How much of a Tonight Show guy are you? Are you a Tonight Show
Uh
hater? Are you a Tonight Show sometimes, or are you, or do you
I'm
not feel
a
anything about the Tonight Show?
I'm a borderline hater. I try not to I try not to watch it, but I because I yeah, I don't I find Jimmy Fallon very awkward and uncomfortable and forced.
Yeah.
So I'm borderline hater. I get it at the same point, but I don't really watch it ever, I guess.
You get like what, like the draw?
I get sort of what he's doing, where
Right.
he's easy for like a network to put into like he's a safe pick to put into like a network TV spot because he's just gonna love everything. Like that's his
Yeah.
character. Just I mean, I'm kind of like the typical things that people kind of shit on Jimmy Fallon for. Those are the
Yeah.
reasons that I don't really watch. I did like Late Night with Jimmy Fallon back in the day, not to be like a hipster,
Like
but
before the Tonight Show started, yeah.
I thought they did some like fun, goofy stuff on that.
What's funny is like I remember the days of when he moved to the Tonight Show, yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like trying to keep up with the culture or whatever, but like yeah, the type of content that the Tonight Show started doing, yeah, it's what it is.
yeah.
Um, it's hard to go to bat for the Tonight Show.
Hmm.
Now, for the past decade, it's hard to. But I will say this. I will say I think I'm a Jimmy Fallon defender, because like I just think he's in what he's in. Like he's boxed into what he's boxed into, which is a weird thing to say about a late night talk show host and probably the biggest one. Um, but like one thing I like, uh, I'm probably saying a bunch of positive things before I say a bunch of shitty things. You always got to. But I like how when Jimmy Fallon has comedians on, it can kind of feel like a classic talk show all of a sudden because the comedians like talking to Jimmy and they like making Jimmy laugh, and Jimmy's good at like bantering with the comedians, and he's like a good audience for the comedian. Um, that doesn't happen very often. Like a lot of it he has on are like stars and like random people and like Miley
Hmm.
Cyrus and like beautiful women, and it's like really awkward. Um, but there is times where you're like, okay, Jimmy Fallon at least is like supporting, like he still is in the comedy lane, and you'll see like Nate Bargatze come on and be like, "You want a tour, Jimmy? You gotta come on tour." And he goes on tour with Nate Bargatze, and I'm like, "Oh, I'd love to see him in that world, and not in this world." Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
and then like, like there's an element to where Jimmy is like just I don't know, he can be a man of the people. Like you see him like I can picture him on tour and like just embracing audiences. And like there's a part where he wants to be like liked so hard that you feel it, but you know, I don't know where I'm going with this.
I think he's
Um
talked about that recently too, that he has admitted that he does really want to be liked, and
yeah, you can
he's
tell.
struggled with that, and that's what I totally
Yeah.
see. But
Yeah.
that's where it's like, he's yeah, I can't handle a lot of the like interviews because they feel too forced in like the worst way. Like obviously even, before him they had like pre-interviews and
Yeah.
everything, but now I feel like with him more so than anyone, you can really feel like that you get that feeling that this was a from a pre-interview. Sometimes I feel like Letterman would be a little bit more off the cuff, or Conan too, where they
Yeah.
kind of it would be a little bit more free flowing. I do like that like old school kind of late night talk show type thing that you're talking about though, where it's like the host and the guest and
Right.
like Dick Cavett, where they would just like have
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
silence at some points and
Oh yeah, the awkwardness. I just kind of
yeah.
feel like the comedians defend Jimmy too. Like, and I think it's just because like he does get a lot of hate, and because he still is a great home to come to for comedians to do
Hmm.
panel, like, which is like I don't know. I feel like the art of panel is weirdly gone. No one cares about that anymore. But like, there are times where I watch, and it's like it's only like every few months. It's like once in a blue moon
Hmm.
where he has a comedian on, and I'm like, this feels like a panel from like back in the day.
Well, that's
Um,
why the only thing I'd say to that is I feel like podcasts have kind of taken over that like panel, because that's where I feel like the Tonight Show, it's
it's
like
like
the format is so restrictive that that's why it's so like forced, is like we have the pre-interview where we have to have the story and the so I don't know, I feel like if they because now on podcasts I think people will bring something to it, and depending on the show, or even if it's just like a talk show, it'll be more like free flowing like it used to be. But that's where I feel like the Tonight Show is like gone away from that in a way, in my opinion, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I think that's why they do the whack shit. Like they do the games, and and a lot of times it doesn't feel like a comedy show. A lot. Like I think um it used to be late night used to be no matter who came on, no matter what, like it used to be, all right, if this guest comes on and they're not funny, then it's up to like, the host to be funny and kind of
That
turn it
yeah,
into a funny conversation. When
yeah.
now, if it's an unfunny guest, it kind of feels like it's a supportive conversation. Um, and it's not very funny. Uh, which leads me like he has like Sydney Sweeney on, and Sydney Sweeney, he's like, dude, you're selling your bathwater for $3,000. Good job, bud. Like they didn't actually have that conversation, but they might as well be. And he always calls these women bud. But anyways,
yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, there's this interview with Dakota Johnson that he has on there, and you probably didn't watch it. Like, there's probably didn't. And I watched the whole 11, like a long, like 11 minutes, and I was thinking, I'm like, why the fuck am I watching this? And a lot of times when I watch the interviews of the Tonight Show, I am thinking that I'm like, why the fuck am I watching this right now? And yeah, Dakota Johnson comes on and she's wearing like a really revealing dress to promote the rom-com. And she just like, Jimmy doesn't like comment about it at all. He doesn't like bring it up, but she like starts commenting on it because she's trying to create like a funny situation by the fact that her dress is too revealing. So she's like saying, yeah, this is the wrong dress for this show. And like, you know, because her boobs are coming out. Have you ever seen that video from back in the day?
I don't think so.
Her boobs coming out. You never watched H3 Productions. That's
I've seen some. I've seen some, but yeah, I don't.
But she has like she has a dress with like really open cleavage, and she's like, I know Jimmy's like trying not to talk about it, but she's like pointing it out. She's like trying to point it out to Jimmy, and she's like making it awkward. She's like making it super awkward, but she's like also trying to be funny. And then I noticed like that Dakota Johnson does try to be funny more than just this interview. It's in other stuff, and I don't really get what her humor is. I don't really get it.
I've seen her be kind of like with Ellen too. There's something. I feel like she's trying to be like dry but like harsh.
Yeah. She's like this. She's got this like personality thing she's trying to do.
Yeah, like aren't you gonna comment on my boobs or something?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah. That's exactly.
It's like you can't tell if she's like being rude or trying to like be funny. I don't know.
I couldn't tell what it was. And it was so weird and cringe.
Yeah, when she was on Ellen, it was something like Ellen was like, "So you just had your birthday party or whatever?" And she was like, "Yeah, you were there." And it's genuinely awkward. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I don't know what she's trying to do, man. Like she's like very badly trying to do an Aubrey Plaza thing, who's great at the sarcasm and banter thing, and she's just not doing it. She's just not doing it. Yeah. It's not working for her. Yeah, I think she's like a very out of touch person because she grew up in Hollywood and you know, she doesn't realize her privilege really. It's such a typical thing to say about people nowadays. But yeah.
She has a crazy family. Like
yeah.
You look back at her like family history, there's a lot of crazy people in there.
I think her privilege is just made her very unfunny, and it's unfortunate because she's trying to be funny. She's trying to make Jimmy laugh, and it's just not working for her.
The guy who laughs at everything too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think he was probably laughing at some of it.
I've seen a lot of those clips where he's just like they just focus on him, not the guests at all, and he's just like
right those edits. Yeah.
and then like immediately goes like he's like he's like like how trying to prove that he's like fake laughing or something.
Right. There's if you ever want a really funny thing, it's unintentional, but like go down a rabbit hole of watching Jimmy's interviews with Robert De Niro, because every time Robert De Niro is on Jimmy Fallon, he is just lifeless and clearly doesn't want to be there, and you could tell that Jimmy is so anxious to keep the interview going because
Wow.
De Niro is giving him nothing, and you feel bad for him because he has to work so hard to fill the time, and he keeps driving the conversation, like diving for new conversation threads, and De Niro is just like just there to because it's probably in his contract. He just has to be there. They're like, you can't not go do this, even though you don't want to do this at all. And De Niro was just on there again, and I was watching, and they like play a game. Like they try to play a game where like, which Robert De Niro movie should you watch? Taxi Driver or Goodfellas? And they ask him to pick which one you should watch, and he every single one is like, I don't know. I don't know. And then and he's just giving the guy nothing, man. It's
Wow.
just
Yeah.
brutal.
Just pick a movie. Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah, okay, I'll have to look into that. I haven't seen that.
But I hope all my opinions on Dakota Johnson on the Tonight Show are very interesting for people and they feel and that they were also thinking about this too.
Yeah, hopefully my incoherent rambling about yeah, the Tonight Show intermixed in there didn't take away from your Dakota Johnson analysis.
Yeah, I knew when you started, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna stall all the momentum I have going for this."
Yeah, I do want to see the Materialists. To bring it back to that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, left we have your Criterion stuff, your Criterion thing you were gonna do.
Yeah.
John has this little Criterion thing he was gonna do. Um, yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
John got the Criterion collection back. Go from the Jimmy
Yeah.
Fallon Dakota Johnson interview to Criterion collection.
Yeah. But now we're getting to the real important shit is that I got the Criterion channel again.
Shows who's more cultured.
Yeah.
Definitely me.
I don't think I'll go the whole year because I know I'll have a drop off at some point, but
You probably won't make it through tonight with it.
maybe not. Who
How's it
knows?
going? How's it going though, John? Like, I mean, I know it's exciting to have.
Yeah.
I know there's so much on there. It makes you feel so cultured and so smart and so interesting. And without it, I have that hole within me where I don't feel cultured and interesting as probably you do right now.
I mean, folks, just look at my letterbox for the past couple months. I'm just going around to everyone that I talk to. I'm just telling them about all the films that I've seen and yeah, I just go through my whole letterbox right in front of them. And but yeah, it's been good. I've been enjoying it and they had some deal where you know it's discounted for a limited amount of time. I got in on that because yeah, I wanted to see what else was on there. I have like dabbled in it a little bit and found that a lot of the stuff is also on like Tubi, which is
Yeah,
free. Um, but they still do they have great collections on there, which is kind of like the reason to go to them is for like the different collections they have each month. And I've seen some good stuff on there recently though, and stuff that I wasn't super familiar with before. Um, like, I don't know if you've seen Little Murders. This is a
I
movie
have not.
directed by Alan Arkin, I think.
Wow.
I might be wrong. Yeah, it is directed by Alan Arkin. Yeah. And it's just a great 70s New York movie that I'd frankly
Hell
never heard
yeah.
of until I saw that it was on the Criterion channel. And this is a movie that I feel like I connected with right away because it taps into sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? Um, kind of ambivalent mindset that it seems like a lot of people are in nowadays with what's going on in the world and how overstimulated we are that finding like the meaning in things
Hmm.
apathetic, that's the word they use that in the movie too. Has a very apathetic feeling Getting back to the big
Haven't
words.
heard that word before. Let's
Yeah.
let's Google. This is why we have the Criterion
Empathetic.
collection.
Yes. I watch the Criterion Collection and you'll learn new words like that. Your vocabulary is going to
Yeah,
be
quick
off the charts.
sidebar. This movie stars Elliot Gould, who is also in The Long Goodbye, which I watched last night and
Yes. Speaking of,
remembered as one of the most perfect films ever. So
yeah,
there you
this
go.
similar, similar
This all goes
feel.
planned. This is why podcasting is so great because you get these little crossover things like this where just the
Yeah.
universe comes together and
And Little Murders, I feel like I feel like there is a sense of apathy in society right now, and maybe I'm just projecting that because I'm the one that's ambivalent and apathetic. But I felt like this captured
maybe
that
I am
vibe.
just projecting my lack of happiness onto everyone
Yeah,
else.
maybe everyone else is having a great time and really loving everything that's going on. So maybe I'm just speaking for myself here.
I think you're alone. You're alone, John. I can tell you as I've lifted up recently, and
Yeah, you're
I don't
living
want
your
any.
best life. And
Yeah, and this word apathy is no place for my the vibe that I have. So
I don't even entertain that thought. Yeah.
you're on your own with that one, buddy.
But if you're also miserable and apathetic like
Yeah,
me, and you're probably not, then
Little Murders
uh
might be the film for you.
that's the film for you. But I did feel like the vibe of it felt like something to connect with now, and it has a very bleak ending, and uh, it's a great movie, but I guess it won't make you feel good at the end because it's more of just like I got the feeling of maybe things have always kind of been like this, and there's just cycles of when things
hmm
seem better. So maybe it
I
will be
mean,
helpful for you in a certain way.
makes sense, John. You watched a movie from the 70s. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not gonna make you like I rewatched Chinatown last year and I was like, wow, this is the darkest movie and ending I've ever seen. Yeah, none of these movies make you feel good about the world at the end.
Yeah.
They all kind of like reinforce like whatever cynicism you already have. And you're like, I'm so in touch
Yes.
with real life since I'm cynical and these movies think the same way, you know what I
Nobody
mean?
gets it but me in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like Little Murders, that's what I felt is just that it was like reinforcing my critiques of society and then at the end,
Right.
but I guess maybe the comforting aspect of it is that it's like, okay, this isn't like a new feeling that everybody's having,
hmm
that this is cyclical. We'll go through some rough stages, but we'll come out um, on top, you know?
hmm
Things will get better in the end.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
thought friendship really endorsed my views on society.
that men shouldn't have friends.
I'll just leave that open. Yeah, I'll just leave
Yeah.
that open ended.
So yeah, anyway, I saw Little Murders. I also saw this movie called The Swimmer, where just listen to this. The whole movie is this guy just going from house to house, swimming in his neighbor's pools. And it's a whole movie
Wow.
about that. But there's a lot more under the
Wild.
surface that you get to in the end.
Hmm.
But yeah, The
Like
Swimmer was
he does it unknowingly swimming in their pools.
no, it's
Like,
just like it's like a very wealthy community, and
oh, so he just
he
hangs out there.
he just decides one day he's just gonna go from neighbor to neighbor swimming in their pools, and everybody's happy to see him,
Oh, okay.
um and so they like he knows the people that he's like going to, but yeah, but there's a lot more to it than that. The only other two I'll mention is Sexy Beast, which I feel like
Nice. I've been meaning to get to that for a while.
I feel like I've heard a lot about that, especially
Yeah.
recently. So I want to get that.
You've
I thought that was great.
like Hater's impression of Sexy Beast.
No, this is another thing
You
I
ever
have to
seen
look
that?
up
Oh,
now.
well now that you've probably seen it. It was during
Maybe I have.
Conan's farewell like season tour, and then Haters comes on. It may not, I don't know. It was sometime when he was on Conan and he talks about watching like British movies where they talk a certain way and he does the impression of Sexy Beast. Yeah. You should
Okay,
watch it.
I'm sure I've probably seen it, but maybe didn't connect it together.
It's really funny. I haven't even seen the movie, but it's gold.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean that was a great movie too. Same director as Zone of Interest. Um,
Oh, no way.
Interestingly enough, yeah, Jonathan Glazer. Yeah. Um, and then the other one I saw is How to Get Ahead in Advertising, which is a very wacky, like almost like a body horror movie, but it's like light on the horror. It's basically Richard E. Grant is this advertising executive that is like struggling on this one project, and he develops another version of his head that comes out from his body, and it kind of like overtakes his life. It's so weird and strange, but in a really good way, and I really enjoyed it. And Richard E. Grant just goes kind of crazy, and he essentially plays these two different characters, like him and the head that like grows out of him. And the practical effects of it is all really, really good and super over the top. But yeah, I had no idea about this movie at all, and then just thought it seemed interesting and saw it. So that's been my experience with getting the Criterion channel again, is I'll just look into like whatever these collections they have are and
It's kind of
typically
just the
find something
collections, right?
interesting.
Those are always
Yes,
very enticing, the way they just package it in a way that,
and they even have a teaser to go with each collection too, so you can kind of get a taste of what the movies are going to be
yeah.
like.
And then
I
you're
always like
like,
those.
then you're learning, and there's like a film historian there or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, this
I
is
like
what
all the
these films
supplemental.
mean. Yeah, all the
Yeah, yeah,
supplemental stuff.
yeah.
That's what I miss about what Max used to do, sort of. Like,
Mm,
maybe not to this level, but like Max had a thing where it at least had its categories of all the content it had, where you could be like, I just want to go to their TCM hub, and I want to go to their
yeah,
Studio
you're
Ghibli
right.
hub. And it made you feel like they cared a little bit about some sense of culture or whatever. But
Yeah,
now you go on and you're like, I want to go to they separate instead by the corporations. They're like, no, here's the CNN side. And it's like, ugh, they've just ruined it.
I forgot about that. You're totally right. I
Yeah,
really
and
love that. That was like
and
the
they still
original.
have
Yeah,
good stuff, but you can't like go
yeah,
through it in a way like I never feel like I'm finding the good stuff on there because I just feel like it shows me what it's all like the algorithm or what it wants to show me. Like I don't
yeah.
expect Criterion is using an algorithm for you. Like, you watched fucking Sexy Beast, so now you should watch this or whatever. I don't think
Yeah. I think
they don't probably have the money for that.
more so than any other streaming service, they really like package and organize movies way better.
Yeah.
Like maybe not in their like user interface, but the collections that they do, I feel like make it really easy to find
Hmm.
something to watch. And it's yeah, it is like the original, like when HBO Max first came out, it was like you could easily just go to yeah, TCM or Ghibli or
Yeah.
whatever else they had. Sure DC was one or something like that.
They
Yeah.
still have it in a certain way. Like last night I was looking for movies with a friend and I just saw a section where it's just there was like 15 westerns all in a row and I was like, I'm gonna watch all of these. All these westerns that I've never heard of. But it's just kind of clunky. I don't really like it.
Yeah.
But are you plugging in your laptop to use the Criterion collection, or how are you using it? Do you have it on your device?
So of
Do you have it down?
course I can't get it on any like I can't get it on my smart TV or Roku or anything. So I either have it on my laptop or I feel like I usually like I'm just a step behind technologically like what
Yeah.
we're capable of with our phones that I just found out in the past few months that I can screen mirror my what have on my phone to the TV. So I have
Damn, I didn't
the
know that either.
I literally I was just
But
like
but
on
you have
my
to have a kind of TV?
you have to have a smart TV, I think. Um I can only do it on one TV that we have, our other TV. I
Mm,
can't, but we have Roku on that one, and you can through Roku. You
mm.
can screen cast, which I just like randomly found out one day, and then it was a total game changer because now I can put it up on my phone.
This is
It's
such
a
a game changer. I
total
can
game
watch the
changer,
Criterion
man.
on my phone,
Hi, I'm John here
screencast
for the screencast. Like for 19.99, you can also get the screen. But it honestly is like it's great in multiple ways because I just pull it up on my phone and then I cast it to the TV, and you could still use your remote to like turn the volume up or like rewind if you need to. And then I just put my phone away on a charger because I can't really use it because it's
Right.
casting to the
It's a
TV.
perfect excuse to not go on your phone during the movie. Yeah.
So it forces me to like disconnect. And of course, I think if I've gotten a call before while watching something, and then of course that fucks everything up, and the
Yeah,
screen goes
really.
away.
This is all fucked up.
What the fuck? I can't talk through my TV. Uh,
Yeah, you go up to the TV. Oh,
Hello? No, I can't. I can't hear you. Yeah.
does it come from the phone or the TV?
So that, but then you just have to like go back to it. You just have to restart it, like the screencast. But it's actually been super nice. So I would try it on your TV. If you go to like, if you swipe down
Hmm.
on your phone, there should
Hmm.
be like a double screen type thing. And then if your TV's on and connected,
Oh
probably
yeah, the
connected to
screen
the internet.
mirroring. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about that at all.
Yeah, if your TV's on, it should show up on there, and then it should be just as easy as uh, tapping on your TV's name. Yeah.
Damn. So that's a good way of doing it.
So yeah, that's how I've been watching a lot of it, which has been nice. Because yeah, I did get annoyed with that when I first had Criterion Channel, when it first
Yeah.
came out. I was like, there's nowhere for me to watch this other than my computer,
Yeah.
um, which just
Yeah, and I
isn't
used to
always
like
convenient.
I used to sit in my bed and just watch Criterion like with my
Right,
computer and I
yeah.
was like, that's not I want to use my TV.
Yeah, yeah. I want to use my TV so that I can go on the internet on my computer while
Yeah.
watching something on the Criterion channel. Yeah.
While going on my phone to
While
distract
also
from the
going away.
computer.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, that's my
Yeah.
Criterion
So
channel.
Criterion Collection's good. It's going well, yeah. That's
Yeah.
good. You're making me want to get it again, man.
Yeah, I mean, even just getting it for like just deciding, okay, this month I'm gonna have it, spending,
Hmm.
the $10 or whatever, and then just watching everything you can. It also gives me like I'm more motivated to like watch what's on there because I know I'm not gonna like keep it,
Yeah.
like forever.
Gives me
So
like it almost gives me like a
a
purpose in
purpose.
life.
Watching all these ambivalent movies, and I'm
It
like,
almost
this
gives
is
me
giving
some
me
meaning. It almost gives me some meaning. I said almost though.
it almost gives me a reason to wake up in the morning. Is how sad is this episode of the
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I
of
feel
the
like everyone's like,
podcast?
these guys are not doing great.
Yeah,
Um,
should get some sun, some fresh air.
but yeah, like I was on like again, I was looking for movies yesterday with a friend. Um, and we were on Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime has great selection. And I had one of those moments come up where you're like acting like, I'm gonna watch all these. Like, oh,
Yeah.
look at
Oh,
that. Look at that. And
you
then
get like
you're
an
like,
adrenaline rush because of
yeah,
what
you
they have.
weirdly do. Like it's what the effect has, and I never end up watching the amount I say I'm going
No.
to. Never,
Do you
never.
ever just go on like a rampage of like sometimes I'll just go on a streaming service and then like you're saying just see like oh hell yeah like I'm gonna watch all this stuff. You
Yeah,
add all this
yeah,
stuff to your list
yeah,
and
yeah.
then like a week later you go back and you're like I'm never gonna watch this shit. What the like why did
And
I
you're like,
add this
oh,
to
and
my
yeah, yeah, I've done that, and it mainly happens on Netflix because Netflix doesn't even have like a lot of good stuff. So if I'm adding a
yeah
lot of like specifically movies, like comedy stuff, like Netflix is pretty great, but like movies, it's pretty rough. So if you're adding a lot of Netflix movies, you'll look back and you're like, yeah, these are all terrible movies. Why?
yeah
What headspace was I in to say that I wanted to watch these one day? Um, but Max and Prime, if I add stuff, it's usually like pretty decent, but I still
hmm
won't get to it. Like I'll add a bunch of shit and I'm like, and then I won't watch TV for like 4 or 5 days. And I go back and I'm like, where was I at again? This,
yeah
yeah.
yeah right yeah there's too much choice.
It's just too
Um,
much. Yeah, it's too much.
I will say, speaking of like Netflix and talk shows, I don't know if you watched any of the John Mulaney Everybody's Live show,
I'm
but
very
I
behind.
I haven't seen every episode, I guess, but most of it. But I actually found myself really enjoying it, and because it kind of did have like these laid back late night talk show vibes, where there's like just kind of random sketches they'll do throughout or random bits, but it's really just sort of a loose hang. And
Yeah, yeah.
um, there's like awkward moments and breaks in conversation, but it doesn't feel like super, it's kind of like nice.
It's
That's
like
what I kind
not
of,
very, it's not trying hard, really.
yeah. Like it's the show really isn't that great, but I kind of like
No,
that it isn't. Yeah.
right,
It's kind of
exactly.
what I like about it.
It's also like no pressure for you when you're watching it at the same time.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been meaning to catch up on it. It's just the same with as everything else, pretty
Everything
much.
else, yeah. It's a
Yeah,
good
it's
thing
just
if you're like
the
working
same
on something
reason.
else and just want to
Yeah,
like have
yeah,
something on in the
yeah.
background. It's perfect for that.
Yeah, it's a cool. He's really like what's weird is while you're saying like yeah, it's not good, but also it's weirdly like kind of like intellectual in how it's not good. Like you could tell there's a lot of thought put into the fact
True.
that
Yeah.
it's not a quality show. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're almost like he knows what he's doing though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, weirdly.
Yeah. It's like what I kind of respect about it is that they're just going to do whatever they want and not really care if it's like deemed as this. Like he almost doesn't care if he does more of it. Like he's just like happy to do it
Yeah,
now, but if they
yeah,
don't even renew it, then that's fine too. He's just happy to do it at all. Uh, yeah, so I do kind
right.
of like that attitude
Yeah,
about it
it's not
that,
like it's not like it's his it's his big break, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like which is usually is the case. It's like a high pressure situation. It's
yeah.
not like that. Yeah, it's a very unique situation.
Yeah, and it seems like he's kind of having a renaissance too, where he's doing different things than
Yeah.
he's done
Yeah.
before. So maybe if he doesn't do more of that, he'll do something else that'll be different and interesting.
Yeah, he's very interesting now. It's very intriguing um to see this fulfilled like handsome family man, sober John Mulaney. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I think he was on Conan recently and he said something like that, where like after he got out of like rehab and everything and he like was talking to Lorne Michaels and Lorne said, "Oh, you're interesting now,"
Yeah,
because of like
yeah. Yeah.
what he went through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, it is an interesting time for John Mulaney. It's
He was also on the episode of I don't know if you probably listened to it where Mark Maron
That's
He
right.
said
Yeah.
he's ending WTF, which is also a crazy thing that happened.
Yeah. I sometimes right away will skip through the intro. Not all the time, but
Oh,
sometimes.
damn, I
But
never do that.
I don't know. Sometimes it's like therapeutic. Um, but yeah, sometimes I just want to get to the interview but this one yeah, I listened to from the beginning and it was like, whoa, it was like you felt like he was about to say it, but for some reason I didn't think he would ever stop. Which is pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Now it's just more room for us to take over the podcasting
Right, right,
landscape.
right. Yeah, it's us and Theo Vaughn.
We're the last ones left. The last real ones left.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I guess I can connect your Criterion thing with last night I ended up watching The Long Goodbye with a friend. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I haven't watched a movie like that in a long time, and I was like, this is so great. I felt like such a film nerd watching it and gushing over it, and I was like, I had my inner monologue going. I was like, man, Philip Marlowe's really like a symbol of noir cinema. And people don't really know about Philip Marlowe and what he means. And then I was like, I want to see every Philip Marlowe joint, because there's others.
The Big Sleep.
And yeah, yeah. And there's the Big Sleep, and then there's the other one, but I forget what it's called. But yeah, such a
Yeah.
great movie. Definitely a thing you would watch on the Criterion channel and some probably neo
Oh yeah.
noir collection that they set up, and definitely one I could probably see myself watching. I could probably watch it 5 more times and get more out of it each time, I think. I just enjoyed it so much. Um, it's so dark, but it's also a vibe. It's also like just such a vibe, the the way he's muttering through it, the way the music is, the way it's shot, the way Altman shoots it, and all the locations are so good and comfortable. Uh, and Elliot Gould is so cool, and also Sterling
Yeah.
Hayden. His performance is just fantastic in it. I forgot that he was even in the movie, and yeah,
Got something about
yeah,
Elliot Gould in the 70s.
yeah,
It's just a
yeah.
cool vibe. Yeah, you definitely should check out Little Murders
Right,
then.
right.
And that's making me want to rewatch The Long Goodbye. I'm pretty sure I've added that to my list on Criterion to get back to because I haven't seen
Yeah,
it
it's
in a
probably on
while.
your yeah. It's probably on
Um,
when you went crazy. You probably added it. Let's just rewatch that while we
yeah,
watch all the 50 others for the new time. We'll find a way to
yeah,
rewatch that. Yeah.
200
Um,
hours worth of things to get to. Um,
but yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. I like I'm such a like I want to be more of an Altman guy than I am. Uh, like I really like Altman, but I don't watch Altman enough, and I think The Long Goodbye and also McCabe and Mrs. Miller are like the Altmans that are the most rewatchable. And when some of the others, such as Nashville and Shortcuts, are long and kind of enduring, they're kind of tougher to just throw on. When I think Long Goodbye, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, I could see myself throwing on any night.
yeah. That's another one I gotta revisit at some point.
Yeah,
Um, and there's some other big Altmans that I gotta get to as well. I know you've
same,
told me
same.
about like Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville's
I
crazy.
gotta
It's
see.
wild. Yeah.
Um,
Um, there's the one with Philip Baker Hall. Have you seen that? I forget what it's called.
Probably not. Now I'm looking at it.
Secret Honor with Philip Baker Hall, where he plays Nixon,
Oh
and it's
no, I haven't
yeah, and
seen
it's
this.
just it's just Philip Baker Hall in a room like drunkenly ranting as Nixon. It's pretty
Wow.
wild. Yeah, definitely
Oh
worth
yeah,
checking out.
the cast is literally just him.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. And usually Altman has like hundreds of people in his movie, but yeah, this one, no. Um,
Wow.
uh, yeah, and I want to rewatch The Player too, because I know that's such a
Oh,
fun one.
yeah, I watched that one recently again too. Yeah, I like
Nice.
that way more now than I remember.
Right. I
Um,
probably didn't get it the first time.
yeah, that's definitely where I was. Um, but yeah, this time around it was like, yeah, it was just a way different viewing experience. But I kind of like remember seeing certain scenes, but I feel like I was looking at it with a different mindset now. And yeah, it was super good.
Yeah, and I think Seth Rogen, he mentioned making the studio like The
Oh,
Player as an influence too. So,
I think that's why I
again,
watched it because it was on my mind from being compared to the studio, I guess.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, everything aligns. It's like poetry.
Yeah.
The way all the topics converge.
Yes. It's an art form.
Just like that, we're talking about the studio again. Um, anyways, I have the last thing I had to talk about was Better Call Saul.
Very topical.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, we're gonna be more late to everything as it goes, but I finally started watching Better Call Saul. I am on towards the end of season three, and I put off watching it for years just because I don't know, I didn't want to. I just didn't want to watch it. And now I'm watching it and I'm kind of hooked because it's really really good. Um, I'm a Breaking Bad fanatic, obviously, but Better Call Saul is not only is in the same world and you get some of that you like, but also it's like very different where it's more about, just a story of two brothers and it's about like it kind of more follows like corporate law, which is something I would never thought I would care about, but I'm like watching these scenes and with these high stakes corporate law stuff and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And uh and and it's kind of and there's a lot of things like it's a lot about just survival in capitalism. It's a lot about it's a little about like improvisation and comedy in a way and filmmaking in a way. There's a lot of different things you could throw in here. And Bob Odenkirk through it all is just so awesome to watch in it. Uh, and um, so I like in that way, I think it's very fresh. Like it's not necessarily one of those shows where you're on the edge of your seat always like Breaking Bad necessarily, but you're definitely like there's a lot to appreciate and there's just like a lot of quality stuff going on, a lot of fun stuff and a lot of like dramatic stuff with the characters. And then on top of that, it gives you like it kind of spoon feeds you a lot of like juicy, like Breaking Bad, like prequel stuff where you're like, oh, that's how that happened,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, it's very good. It's a show that is I don't know, like I need a show that I can just throw on and be super into right now, and it's doing that for me. So
Nice. Yeah, I got to get back to that. Think yeah, still just seen the first season. But yeah, I was thinking the other day too that I really loved Breaking Bad. And I have been so like reluctant to really dive into Better Call
right.
Saul or
Why
El
why is
Camino
that the
or
case? Like I don't know, like
yeah.
the creator made and wrote and made like the greatest show ever probably. And then I was like kind of like I don't know about Better Call Saul. I don't know if I
Yeah.
trust that guy, like what the hell?
Yeah, and all I've heard is good things about it. I haven't heard like a
Right,
bad
right.
thing.
It won all
Um,
these awards too, like when it
yeah.
was going on. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And maybe part of it's like spin-offs I feel
Right.
usually are, you know, maybe a little corny or too fan servicey, but I haven't heard anything. And of course, I've seen the first season. I know that it's not
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that,
yeah,
but
it's not like it's definitely not like Star Wars, like Rogue One
yes.
or something
Yeah.
like that. You know what I
Or
mean? Like,
the Boba Fett stuff or Mandalorian or anything like that, where they, yeah, just like introduce, like, look, this is
yeah,
Gus Fring and he's a
I'm trying to, yeah,
badass.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
imagine if, say, like Disney took over Breaking Bad
Yeah.
and just did it the way they're doing it, and it was just like the most atrocious thing ever.
You get the Gus Fring origin story, and he's like
Yeah, yeah,
an orphan and has to, yeah,
right,
fight his
right.
way up the ranks of, yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, I don't, why is that? Why haven't, yeah, I
I don't
need
know. I
to
took
get to that.
over a decade because the show is like not like it's much new, it's newer than Breaking Bad, but as I'm watching the show, I'm like, wait, like they're still carrying like blackberries in this and there's just all this like old stuff going on. I'm like, so this is still a very old show that I'm just way too late to the party on.
Yeah.
Do you ever get like frustrated with people that they're like too late to a show?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a total hypocrite. I've been.
Yeah, yeah. Like I once like there's like a guy and I was actually on a film set and the actor talked about how he was just starting to watch Game of Thrones, I think, or something
Mm.
like that. And I was just like and it was over. I think it was over. Like we had just watched final season. I was like and I said I was like really rude to the actor and I was like being the sound guy. So I think it was very out of left field for most people. Like they're like, "Whoa, what the hell was that?" But like I was like, "Yeah, there's no point of you even starting it now. Like,
Yeah.
what are you even doing?" I kind of like went like because he was like,
That's
I guess
stupid.
like first, yeah, kind of like, because I guess for someone who was like just like I had just watched like the final season of Game of Thrones and I'd watched it like week to week. I like maybe I had done that with the last three seasons, and so I felt like very in on it, even though I was late to Game of Thrones too. I started watching when the show was on like season five. Um, but he, it's like when someone, it's annoying when someone goes like, "Yeah, I just started this show. I'm on this first season. I don't know. I don't I," and they try to give their opinion very innocently, but you're like, you've seen the whole show and you're a total nerd about it, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, what are you doing? Why are you just like watching the show
Like,
now? Well, that happened with The Office a lot, and I think
mm,
that maybe is one where we can really relate because we were like very in on The Office like a while ago, and then streaming the Netflix picked it up, I think, and
yeah.
The Office just took off. It became so mainstream, and it felt like in high school it was only like a select few watched it. To me, maybe to me, it
No,
didn't feel like everyone was watching it.
I agree. I felt that way too. I thought that it was more,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is like uh a show that I really find funny that's
right.
like kind of more obscure, like at the time, because it felt
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
because I don't know, we still had shows on TV. Like I would still like wait for Thursday night to watch The Office.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
it
felt
did feel
like a
more
cult
niche.
thing, and it almost
Yeah.
felt like a smart show that you had to understand the
Yes.
humor of it because everything was so South Park Family Guy. Like that is just blatantly funny in your face right away. How can you not think that's funny? But The Office was more like downplaying the situation's awkwardness, and it felt like real life, so it just felt smarter. So you felt like I don't know, it was like a more sophisticated show at the time.
Yeah.
But then weirdly, it was like after my roommate who was on our Pineapple Express episode and didn't like really talk at all because he was too high, I think, like the irony. He's always like that. That's just who he is to a degree. But like that's kind of how that episode was. I was like, "Hey Nick, like sometimes it's like this with weed." And he was like, I'm like, "All right, what do I have you on here for, man?" Like but like, I just remember living with him, and and he started watching The Office. He would always watch shows on his phone,
Oh yeah.
and he was like, "I'm watching The Office. Kind of reminds me of my office because I also work in an office now." And I was like, "What the fuck, man, dude? You're just watching The Office now?" And like, he's like, "I found out that Pam and Jim get together." And like,
Yeah, no
and I
shit.
was like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck, man?" But like, it wasn't weird for him because everyone else was doing that. He wasn't the only one. Everyone, like, you're probably not on the dating apps, John, because you've been married
Uh
since forever, you know?
yeah,
But
totally not.
sometimes, hey, gotta have a good time,
You just got to
right?
see what's out there.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, like I on the dating apps, like for the past like decade, still probably to this day, it's like every girl, you'll probably find me watching The Office. Are you more like Angela or are you more like it's like the whole thing? And there was a point where because I was like I wanted to get matches on it. I was like I succumbed to it. I was like I'm gonna put my care. I'm gonna write on my profile that I love The Office, which is like not a lie, but I'm kind of doing it in a sellout way by like trying to appeal to the mainstream thing about like how people, especially girls, started liking The Office. And like girls who you wouldn't really even think would like The Office, kind of like, like basic bitches, John.
Pumpkin spice latte
Yeah, yeah.
drinking.
Well, they're
Yeah.
like, you'll find me at Starbucks. You'll find me at Starbucks probably and watching The Office, like that type of
Yeah,
those types
vanilla
of girls.
lattes and Pam
Yeah,
and Jim. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Those
yeah.
broads. Yeah.
Glad
But
I
yeah,
don't got me. Glad I don't got me one of those. I
yeah.
keep her in line.
She's not allowed to watch The Office. But I had
You'll
a
you'll
similar
see it
thing
coming out. Oh, go ahead.
with well, like my one of my college roommates never watched The Office until college, and it was like,
Yeah, yeah,
and then me and another one of our roommates. It was actually kind of nice to like revisit it with him,
yeah,
and like have a full on like we kind of watched it all through with him. He watched some in his own time too, but it was kind of like fun to do that. But I was still like amazed when we would get to things, and it would be like, oh, you've never even like known that this was a thing before, like some
yeah,
bit from the show that I think is like,
yeah,
yeah, and it's like a new thing. And then yeah, all of a sudden it felt like everyone in college is all of a sudden like super into The
yeah.
Office.
And
Everybody's
if
quoting it, and it's
yeah, they
like
were all
the most
quoting
popular
it.
thing ever on Netflix.
Yeah, and it felt like the show like was over to me, and I was like,
Yeah,
but yet everyone suddenly started watching after it was over, and they were all like, "Office is so funny, man." I'm like, it's been like 10 years, I feel like, right?
yeah.
And it was
And
weird.
tying back into talking about like audiences, I think people it's gonna sound super like snobby hipster, but I feel like the real popularized like jokes and quotes, catchphrases, whatever, are the ones that have really become like popular with people are
Or
not the
like
best ones.
the more
They're
lowbrow
like
kinds,
Bears
right?
beats Battlestar Galactica. Like
Right, right,
they think that's way funnier than like this character Michael Scott um talking
right,
so intimately about his love life in front of the
right.
office. That's
When I
so
say when for
uncomfortable.
me it's like I'm sensual.
When he says
Like
he's sensual, yeah.
Well, like I noticed that like you'll watch these shows with people like The Office or Curb Your Enthusiasm, and if you're watching it with like a certain type of person, like they'll be like watching, they're like, "Oh my God." They're like cringing as it's
Yeah.
going on because they find it so abnormal. Like they're like, "Why would anyone say that?"
Yeah.
Nah, like, and I watch that, and so then like they connect to a different part of the comedy of the show, I think,
Yeah.
and they find they find Michael especially cringe and like more outrageous they're like, "Oh my God, Michael," and then they really laugh at like something Jim says, or like
Dwight and
what one of the
Jim.
side
Yeah.
what one of the side characters has to say, or something that's a little more cookie cutter, lowbrow, like Bears beats Battlestar Galactica, which of course, like I'm not trying to like damage that line because it's good. I mean, we both remember it, but like the fact that's more of the mainstream appeal of it that I think the show holds.
Yeah, I feel like that is the Jim, Pam, Dwight dynamic is what got people is what got
Yeah,
like that
everyone's like that's the whole show, you know. Everyone's like
that
that's the
got the
show. Yeah,
mainstream people on the fringe to be interested in it.
yeah,
And because I've heard from someone else say that they hate like Michael Scott's character, that like Jim and Dwight is like by far the best part of the show. And I just feel like
yeah.
that's
That would
just
like
the absolute wrong take. That
yeah,
if
that would offend me so much if someone said that to me in real
yeah,
life. I would like tense up so hard. I would just like I'd be like I'm so done with this person. Like we
yeah,
will never. Yeah,
I can't like put myself in your shoes and know what it's like to
walk a
think like
mile. Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like being like a Republican or a Democrat or something. Like it's like as
Yeah.
vast
Yeah.
as that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And maybe there's people that it's like they can't stand Michael and they're all in just the Jim Pam Dwight
yeah, yeah. And maybe
place,
for those
but
people, that's how the show was able to continue, you know, after even
yeah.
Michael left, because they're like, oh, it's okay. The show's still here. The show didn't just walk out of the
Yeah.
building. When like for me, I was like, the show's kind of done. Like, not to say that there weren't good stuff afterwards, but like to me, it was kind of just like a weird thing that they just were like, yeah, it's going to be more of an ensemble now, because
Yeah.
it always kind of was, wasn't it? And it's like not really. Like
No.
it became more ensemble as it went, but it was still always around that guy, and the other characters kind of found their like voices more, but it still was all about that guy, even if the other things around the show
Yeah.
got better and had more rhythm. Like no, it was never like an ensemble.
No. And that's why yeah, as soon as Michael leaves, that's like what the whole thing is centered around. And then everybody has these weird character transformations too, which
Right? And suddenly everyone's like neurotic, and I'm like,
yeah, they're
they're
all
not neurotic.
crazy.
Yeah, suddenly they're all weird, and I'm like, the whole point of the show was that they were like the normal onlookers to the
Yes.
insanity, that to the guy who's kind of like melting down like in front of them every day, you know, who's just like has no boundaries, and his
Yeah.
life is really sad and terrible, and he's just bringing that to work every day and projecting it onto the office. But, you know,
But then in the end, it's like they all have to have some like big happy ending. We're all better off and friends now. And
I also
yeah.
thought the finale is just it's way too perfect. You know, I don't know,
Hmm.
like it's like The Office turned from more along the lines of like Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm to like Friends. It's like it turned a dial to
Yeah.
where it suddenly wasn't all about being funny. It was more about like, oh, we are these people going to get together? They were like balancing those things. Like, are Dwight and Angela going to get together? And then it was really about goodbyes at the end of the day. Like they wanted to always like they got addicted to doing good goodbyes and good farewells, and like
Yeah.
yeah, that I don't know.
Yeah. I think the Office out of like all the shows that I like, I don't know, go back to and rewatch, I think the highs are it has the highest highs, but also really low lows.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't know. I think I always think of it in the same vein of like Parks and Rec because they're same people by the same people and like similar styles. But Parks and Rec, I think, was consistently like once they caught their footing in like season two, it was consistently like a really good show to the end. But
Hmm.
yeah, The Office had at its peak was a lot better, but it didn't have like that drop off. And yeah,
Right.
that
Kind of
season eight and
it
season nine
ended
is still
cleaner.
hard. Yeah. It's still hard for
Yeah.
me to see anything from those last two seasons. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our episode for the day. That's a show. That's our show.
That's our show.
We talked about a variety of things. I think we did a good job. I think we did a great job.
Yeah, we did fantastic. Yeah.
And yeah, we should have more stuff coming soon. Specifically, I don't know. John and I are, we wanted to experiment with an old format. Something that people might have forgotten about, but we're trying to bring it back. And so we might got our hands on something big.
Yeah, we're going vintage.
So we'll see.
Vintage is in right now, so
I'm gonna keep it that vague. It sounds like we're gonna I don't know, we're gonna do like a show where we talk about vinyl or something like that. I don't know. And otherwise, this might not be for a few weeks, but I'm gonna tease something that's gonna happen in my life that I'll probably talk about on the show.
Whoa.
I am going, John. You know how much I love Sideways.
I do.
The movie Sideways. I love it. I love Sideways. Sideways is responsible for how the lack of new movies I watch on my lists and Criterion collection. If it weren't for Sideways, I'd probably have a wife and children right now. It's just funny. You're just like staring at me. Let's see where I'm going with it. But yeah, I like Sideways. And my parents come to visit in a month, and they are so gracious they're going to take me to the Sideways Hotel and the Sideways restaurant, the Hitching Post, and I'm going to bask in all that Sideways glory, John.
Wow.
'Cause I've for a year now, I've wanted to go to the Hitching Post restaurant and have a meal and have some of the wines that they drink in the movie.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, and I might say there's a chance, John, it might not be my only time I do this. It could be a repeat thing.
Wow. Maybe like an annual getaway for you?
Maybe.
Wow. I would love to see that happen. Yeah. For you. I want that to happen for you.
Thank you, man. Thanks. We'll see.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
One of the things that dated Better Call Saul for me also is that the last episode I watched, she's in a blockbuster. And I was like, how old is this show? It really hit me. I was like, wait a second. This show's way older than I realized.
Oh, does it take place?
It also takes place in the past.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would have to take place before Breaking Bad.
In the 90s, I guess. So
yeah, or early 2000s.
So yeah, it's a period piece too.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like I remember that from Breaking Saul, from Better Call Saul.
That's what they should call it, Breaking Saul, because it kind of aligns with it.
Yeah.
But that's our episode for the day.
There it is.
Goodbye.